Hello friends, what's up? Welcome back to the Cheeky Couch Podcast. It is Sunday and Sundays are dedicated to Real Housewives of Orange County. Last week we did episode 1. If you missed it, it is available here on my YouTube channel as well as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. All my links to everything will be in the bottom box. If you're listening on the podcast, right in the info section, you can find the link to my YouTube channel if you're more of a watcher than a listener. And I would so appreciate any podcast downloads on Apple Podcast or any reviews. It helps me immensely, so thank you very much. Last weekend we did the very first episode of Season 1, Real Housewives of Orange County. Today we're getting to episode 2 and 3. Since we got the first episode, the character introductions out of the way, we can move a little quicker here on the episode recap. So we're going to be doing episode 2 and episode 3 today. Without further ado, let's get started. Season 1, episode 2 is titled, Is It Hunting Season Yet? Which was alarming. I was like, wow, are they really big hunters in Orange County? I'd have to imagine some people are. The episode opens with a beautiful shot of a little bunny in the grass, and you're like, oh, how cute. It's a beautiful day in Orange County. Behind the gates, everyone's enjoying their lives. No, wrong. They're going hunting for bunnies today. It's a little triggering. I was not expecting it, and I should have with a title like that. There's this overwhelming problem, apparently, in Orange County. There's a bunny outbreak, and it's eating everyone's fancy, expensive gardens and flowers, and everyone's over it. So, Vicki Gunvalson, in particular, has hired Shane. If you guys remember Shane, he is Gina's son. He is the big baseball player. He goes around Coda and hunts the bunnies for the residents of this gated community so that they stop eating their gardens. That's how we start off the episode. Next, we get to Slade. Slade is all decked out in this bike gear. He's actually a really skilled biker. He grew up in Anchorage, Alaska. He was like a national winner of some biking race. So he's actually very, very talented at biking, which good for him. Like, he's got the whole spandex outfit and everything. You know, those real skinny bikes that like scare the shit out of me. I know I'd fall off one of those in a heartbeat. And he's zooming, baby. He is zooming. So we're watching him bike and he's doing all those crazy turns and stuff. Looks really cool. And then they cut to a scene of him in his bedroom working out in nothing but these little boxers. And he has like a cooling, like an eye cooling mask or like one of those, you know, those gel masks that you put in the fridge and you like put it around your eyes. And he's like in the littlest boxers. I mean, you can see something happening down there. And he's just like, like absolutely like. I clearly don't work out that much, but he's doing it. He is working out in his little boxers with this eye mask on, and I thought it was an interesting choice with the filming crew. I don't know, did they say like, yeah, strip down to nothing, or did he hop out of his little spandex biking uniform and just get to working out? I don't know, but I would have loved to have been a fly. I'm so weird. I would have loved to have been a fly in the room watching the conversation with the filming crew about should I have clothes on or should I not? And how do you feel about this gel eye mask? Please let me know. I definitely would have been the person who said yes to everything because I know good TV, little moments like this, good TV. Now Slade, still in his little boxers, is getting ready for the day. He has like a really big business meeting today. I believe if he landed this commission or if he landed this, again, I still have no freaking idea what he does. It's one of those jobs that I have no idea what it is. But anyway, if he lands this account, it would multiply his income like 3 times. It's a big deal. So he's doing a face mask. He's like peeling the stuff off his face, picking out the perfect little suit, getting the best watch. You can tell he's really trying to show up. He's going to try and use the fact that he lives in Coda and like, you know, spiffing himself up a bit to try and land this deal because I'm sure there are jobs that are kind of like that. Like people won't work with you unless you look the part. So Slade's in the kitchen. He's all suited up, ready for his big meeting, and Jo slouches in. She's in her PJ. She has these cute little slippers on. I love Jo. She is just cute as a button. And actually, I do believe she just got married. So congrats to Jo. I'm glad she finally found the one because I can tell you right at this moment, Slade was not it. He asks her, what's she going to do today? She goes, I don't know. You know, clearly she is bored as hell. This was a career woman. She was in reality as well. And, you know, Slade wanted a stay-at-home wife type. And so she quit working just for him. I don't know why he would want that from her considering, I mean, more income is always better. But the fact that he shares his children with their mother, is Joe really needed full time at home to do nothing? Do you want her to just do nothing? And then the house looks tidy enough. I don't think they make big messes or anything like that. It's almost like he just wants that title. He wants to say that he has a stay-at-home wife. Honestly, to me, it's a creepy power move. I really don't believe it's for the benefit of the children or for, I don't know, maintaining the household. I just get that vibe from him, you know? So Joe is clearly bored to death. She has no plans today. And he makes this comment. He's like, "Do you think you could do some cleaning, or are you just going to go shopping?" And she's like, "Sure, maybe I'll clean." Like, what a thrilling day, you know what I mean? And by the way, I have a few friends who are stay-at-home moms. It's no easy feat. That is a job in and of itself. He only has the kids part-time. Does she really need to be cooped up on the days that they're not there? Couldn't she at least maintain her job on days where the children are with their mother? I don't know. It rubs me the wrong way. And clearly it rubs Joe the wrong way too, because she does make a comment about how she misses working. Do you guys remember last episode, Joe met Kimberly, one of the other housewives, in this really awkward fake scene where she just so happens to bump into them at this restaurant, and she asks them, "Are you from Coda?" And they go, "Yes, sit down." It was like wild, but nevertheless they did exchange phone numbers, and so Joe is giving Kimberly a call to see if they can hang out, maybe go golfing or some, I don't know, some other type of housewife activity when you're super rich and live in Orange County. Now we're at Gina's house and we are meeting Uncle Richie. Uncle in quotations because he's really a family friend. He was Matt, her husband's bat boy, back when he was with Oakland. And you can tell the kids have grown up with him and they love him so much. Kira, her daughter, instantly runs over, gives him a big old hug, and she's really excited to see him. But Richie is funny. Kira is so excited to show him her new car. It's a brand new BMW. He's telling Kira about how when he was 16, he was driving a dump truck, so he's probably working in the garbage field, waste management. Next, we're with Vicky. Vicky is planning for a vacation. She's doing a senior trip with her daughter and the rest of the cheerleading team. There are, I think, 6 cheerleaders and 3 moms going to Mexico, and they are all so excited. That sounds really, really, really fun. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine. What a great way to end your senior year. I know here in New Jersey, I didn't end up going, but the school does a like Disney trip for your senior trip. My sister went. She had a great time, but my mom would never take me and 6 of my friends to Mexico. Oh my gosh, if I asked that, I actually wish I would have ever had the nerve to ask my mom for such a thing, because she would have probably fainted, because that would be absurd. But it sounds like a great time, and Brianna, her daughter, is so excited because the drinking age there is 18, and they are all 18, so they're excited to have a few Coronas on the beach. We're back at Vicky's office, which is in her home, and Lori and her daughter are both there working. Lori covers Vicky's kind of half of the work. I don't want to say half of the work. I'm sure Vicky does a lot. One thing you can never say about Vicky is that that woman doesn't work, because she works her ass off. She does. She is a self-made woman. I'm so proud of Vicky. Though she frustrates me at times, I'm so proud of Vicky. She is she's a hard worker. So Lori is there with her daughter and they are just, doing their work. Lori gets a phone call from her son Josh's school. This is where Lori's infamous line, actually her infamous intro into the show, her little tagline in the beginning of every episode, "Are the cops involved?" Or is the police involved? Because the school calls and Josh is in trouble. They believe he may have had drugs on him. They want her to get there right away to deal with this situation. And my heart breaks for Lori here. It's not easy raising kids, but especially one who's struggling emotionally. He's clearly struggling emotionally. He's having a hard time. His parents had a difficult divorce. Lori's trying to build herself back up financially, and he's just clearly not handling things well. And I hate to say it, but it's only going to go downhill from here. Now we're with Kimberly, her husband Scott, and their children. They're headed to finally buy a new car. You can tell they're a little self-conscious about this vehicle that they are driving. It's an older Ford. It's this kind of foresty green. They moved here 3 years ago from Baltimore, so they're really not used to this kind of like Mercedes, Lexus type of lifestyle. Not that they didn't have money. I really don't know about their financial situation just yet. I don't know if it comes up later in the season, but they've been using this car for a very, very long time. So they're very excited to replace it with a nicer version so that they feel more, I guess, normal in Coda. You know, it's that financial, social pressure of just what car you drive. The same old thing. I mean, that happens in even not wealthy communities. People are so judgy, it's ridiculous. But yeah, they're really excited to buy a new car. They're at the Ford dealership, and the salesman is like talking them up for this Ford Expedition. I believe it's the same car they have now, just newer, nicer. And they are grilling this car salesman. He is working his butt off trying to sell this car. Katsu, they then leave and they go to the Lexus dealership. And Kimberly says they wanted the Expedition, but the salesman was so slimy. So they went with a Lexus. I don't know, maybe they cut out some parts. I didn't see him being very slimy, I'll be honest. He was very nice, very friendly, answering all their questions to the best of his abilities. He did make one comment saying there's plenty of room in the back for friends or for grandchildren. Kimberly's not at the age for grandchildren yet, so maybe that's where she was like, like, we're heading off to the Lexus dealership? I don't know. Kind of a funny reason to spend a whole lot more money, but hey, Alexis is what they wanted, and that's what they got, so good for them. We're back with Slade, and he is pulling up to the building for this really big meeting he has with this man named Brent. Brent owns a mortgage company, and Slade is in realty. Again, sorry, I forgot that. In the beginning of the episode, I said I didn't know what Slade does. Of course, it's realty. So he's headed to this big meeting with this big mortgage guy, super wealthy guy. Slade's car scares the shit out of me. This is like the biggest car I've ever seen. Is this a Hummer? I know nothing about cars. It looks like a freaking military truck. Like, this thing scares the crap out of me. I hate cars, if you didn't know. I hate being in them. I refuse to drive them. I'm technically not allowed to drive them because I have epilepsy and I never seem to make it to the 6-month mark where you can drive. But he's super jazzed. He's super nervous, and he's just hoping he closes his deal. This part is so awkward. I'm not a big Slade fan, but this made me cringe so very hard. I felt so bad for Slade. So he's like in a waiting room, he's like in a lobby, right? And they're like, yeah, it'll just be a minute. And then they walk him into this man's office, but this man is on the phone. So Brent, the guy that he's meeting with, is on the phone at his desk, you know, chatting. So the woman has Slade sit in this little lounge area in the office. And she's like, hey, you know, come on in. What do you want? Would you like something to drink? And Slade's like, yeah, I'll have a water. And the guy's just sitting there in the corner on his cell phone. I don't know. It makes me feel so awkward. And then, like, 2 seconds later, the guy gets off the phone and he slams his hands on the desk and he goes, so who's this? Like, it's like so awkward. Like, do you not know who you're taking a meeting with? Or is that just kind of like your line? Is that what you say when people come into your office? It's kind of disrespectful. So Slade has to walk over from this little lounge area. It's actually a huge office. So it's kind of an awkward like walk up to his desk. I'm telling you, you guys, you have to watch this scene. It is so cringe to me. And the guy is just a dick to Slade the entire time. Slade thinks he's really going to impress this guy by telling him he lives in Coda. But then, of course, Slade finds out this guy lives in a much nicer, much more exclusive place in Coda. And so Slade's neighborhood kind of doesn't look so glam anymore, which I feel bad because you could tell that was his big opener. He really thought like, man, I got him here. I'm going to say, I live in Coda in this neighborhood, and this guy's going to be like, oh wow, we're old chums. We can go to the golf course together. We could have a good time. Like, this is going to be a perfect match. The guy's not impressed literally at all. And then he's rude to Slade the entire rest of the appointment. Slade's trying to explain why he's there, you know, what they can do for him, what Slade's company can do for Brent. Brent's picking up the phone left and right. One of the phone calls, he says, hey baby. Like, I don't know if he's talking to his girlfriend, his wife, or his child. It's super awkward. Next thing you know, Brent is staring at the ceiling above Slade's head, and Slade like kind of turns around and he's like, what the heck? And the guy's got this giant monitor hanging from the ceiling and he's just scrolling through his emails. It is such an uncomfortable thing. And I have read like business tactics where like this can be a thing. You like kind of try to psych out who's coming in to see you. I don't know what the point of that is. It's very rude. The meeting does not go well. Now we're back at Gina's. Richie's there. He is grilling up some burgers, and they're having a little party before they leave for Mexico the next day. It's clearly vacation season here in Kodo. Shane is 18, so Uncle Richie is really excited that Shane can drink on vacation. Now, let us remember, Shane's only 18 here. He's very young, and I was an idiot when I was 18, but he does make some concerning comments. I'm sure he's evolved as a person, but he's talking about how he hates girlfriends. He hates his friends having girlfriends. He's like, they're always giggling, and he's like, it's disgusting. I hate it. I don't even want to be around my friends if they have a girlfriend. You know, girlfriends are always nagging. I'm not gonna lie, kind of like incel talk, but he's young. Now we're back at Lori's house. She's doing laundry. She's talking about how she misses her old life before the divorce. She had nannies, housekeepers, all that, and probably clearly somebody to do her laundry for her, and she misses those luxuries in life. But even more than that, she says she hates how the divorce affected the children, and goes on to tell us what happened at school with Josh. So supposedly someone had seen Josh with drugs. A teacher had seen Josh with drugs in their hands. They thought it was drugs at least. She kind of alludes to the fact that maybe it wasn't drugs and says, you know, just because he's had such a hard time in the past, you know, with the law and he's been so difficult, they decide to send him to juvenile hall. I think that is so extreme. I really, really do. I wonder, was there no other option? He had to go to juvie? He's a young boy in high school. Like, say he got caught, and I bet it was marijuana, if anything. I swear to you, I bet it was only marijuana. And to send him to juvenile hall for that, I don't even get me started on all of that stuff. I get so mad. It's legal here now in New Jersey, and there's people who went to jail for it. It's the worst. It is literally the worst. It needs to be legalized everywhere. People should never face jail time for marijuana. So Lori sits down with her youngest daughter, and she's just explaining to her the fact that Josh unfortunately had to go away for a while. Like, I just think this is so extreme. I hate it. Lori is now heading to juvenile hall to visit Josh. It's really sad. She has her daughter and I believe just a friend with her. I believe we see him in later episodes. I don't think that they're a boyfriend. I think it's an ex-boyfriend who still kind of just helps her out with certain things. So that's really nice. But yeah, they're heading to juvie so she can visit Josh, her daughter. Drew him this little picture and she wants to give it to him. Only Lori went in to see Josh. She got 2 hours to spend with him. And I believe this man and her daughter waited the whole time, like out in the parking lot. It looked like, I don't know why they all had to come because that's a long time for that little girl to be in that car. But the sad thing is that Lori wasn't even able to give the drawing to Josh. It's like, I guess, you know, they don't allow you to take contraband or whatever into the juvenile hall, and so he wasn't able to receive the picture, but he saw it and he sent a little kiss and hug to his little sister through Lori, which was really sweet. I think a lot of times when we have family members who are struggling with some sort of addiction or dependency on a substance, I've experienced this myself. You always kind of assume that, you know, the youngest in the family is too young to know what's going on, but you see it right here. She's so young. She knows her brother's away for doing something that, you know, was wrong. And she's sad. She's really, really sad. So it's hard to see it affect someone at such a young age. I think we all tend to think like, oh, they were so young. Hopefully they won't remember. But I think those things really stick with you, you know? It's sad all around. Now we're at Vicky's. Vicky is hustling. She's in her office working hard, talking about her financial anxieties. You know, she took a week-long vacation. She says that's really going to affect her in a month when the commissions start rolling in. She didn't work that week. I really admire that just a week-long vacation has her stressed out from not earning money when she clearly does quite well. Don is out of work right now. If you remember, he was let go. She's about to have 2 kids in college. Michael's in college currently. Brianna will be starting next semester. Don is not working. Brianna only has a part-time job and Michael is not working. And then we learned that Michael did not do well in college and Vicky is rightfully pissed. She says, all you had to do was go to school. I did not require you to even get a job. You just had to do well in school. So he's on probation. He was clearly partying a lot. He says he went to the #1 party school in the country. Is that Arizona State or is that Colorado State? Maybe they both consider themselves the best because I thought Arizona was, but I'm pretty sure he goes to Colorado University. So for right now, while Mike is home, Vicky wants him to get a job, which he should. He's a grown adult. He's 18. He should be out there working. I mean, Brianna's not even in college yet and she's working. You know what I mean? You can definitely tell Brianna is probably a little bit more responsible one of the two kids, and Mike's kind of like, he wants to have a good time. Don, who is Vicky's husband, is headed off to Sacramento. He has a possible job opportunity. He's just really hoping he can kind of talk the job into not making him relocate. He doesn't want to relocate his family, even though it's a wonderful job opportunity. So fingers crossed for Don. If you remember in the first episode, I told you I have I just have Don in my heart. You would open up my heart and there will be a little picture of Don in there. And he deserved better. We won't get into it. We'll wait till it comes. But it's coming, and it's coming quick. Now Joe and Slade are heading out for a little drink, maybe for dinner. Couldn't tell. Only saw wine glasses. And he's just unloading about his day, just talking about what a dick this guy was that he met and how horrible it was. And Joe's so sweet. She's listening and just like kind of cheering on her man. Slade decides to cook up a little plan. He wants to catch this guy off guard, maybe out with his family, so he can reach him on a different level, kind of bond a little bit and land this account. And Joe is so sweet and supportive. She says, tell me what to wear and I will be there. They are gonna get this guy. We're back with Lori, and she makes just the saddest statement. She says she actually feels a little bit of relief. She can sleep well at night knowing that Josh is relatively safe, she says. I don't know that I agree, but she at least knows that he's not sneaking out of the house and doing drugs and things like that. Like, he's at least in one place, like, being guarded. So she decides to let her hair down, have a little, night out with her girlfriend. Her girlfriend's name is Lorelai. They're out at the club, the bar. I think it's more of like a bar restaurant. They're just chatting up all these young fellas, complimenting them, telling them they like their suits. Just ready to have a good night, I guess. Lorelai asks, I love that name, Lorelai. I just do. You don't hear it that often, so when you hear it, it's kind of like, huh, that's really pretty. She asks Lori if she's dating. Lori says no, she's more picky the longer she's been divorced. And I would have to imagine so. I'd really have to imagine after a divorce, you become extremely picky. Now we're with Gina, Richie, and the kids. I believe they're in Los Cabos, if I'm not mistaken. They're on their vacation. Kira, her daughter, makes a funny comment. Well, I mean, it's actually really sad. She says her father's not there on vacation, but he helped paid for the vacation, so he's there in spirit, which made me laugh and also made me want to cry. Now we are with Kimberly and Joe, and they are heading off to go play tennis. Now remember, Slade, this is what I hate. He also kind of wants Joe out there making connections with these other Coda housewives. He wants her to be a part of this elite circle. It's so freaking weird. If my husband ever wanted me to make friends with a certain group, I would be so confused. It is such an odd thing. And it's clearly just to, I don't know, try and get him more connections, which I guess isn't a bad thing. It's just so fake, It's just so, ugh. I don't want to make friends just so that my husband has more connections, is basically what I'm trying to say. And I hate that Slade almost just looks at Joe as a tool for him in his career. He wants to say he has a trophy wife at home, a stay-at-home wife. He wants her out in these certain social circles so that I'm sure he can get to know the husbands. And, if they need help closing on a house, he'll be the one that they call. But not only that, he also wants her as a mother and as a housekeeper. It's just he wants her as a tool, and it really drives me insane. And Joe is so funny on this tennis court. This is literally me when Alok tries to teach me tennis every summer, and it just doesn't absorb. I'm not trying not to learn, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to resist. Maybe a little bit I'm trying to resist because I really don't care to, but I know it's his big passion. It's his most favorite thing in life. And so I try to apply myself, but I really am just like Joe. She has no idea what's going on. She doesn't know where she should be standing. What are the rules? And I just so relate. We're back in Mexico with Gina and her family. Richie and Shane are going out to the bar, to the club. They're at this table, and Uncle Richie, who he's not an old guy. I don't know how old he is, but he's definitely older than the group of kids that he's with. He's definitely not 18 years old. They're all at this table with some other girls who I think are vacationing there, but they're not with the family. You know what I mean? I think they just met. They're vacation friends or whatever. And Richie's hitting on this girl and Shane's talking to this one. They are on the prowl. I'll say that. They are on the prowl. Richie is hellbent on getting Shane wasted tonight. Richie's going on and on talking about his penis, how it makes all his life decisions for him. Shane makes this weird comment about the group of girls that they're with. He said, you know, the girls were okay, but there was one girl in the group, one it girl as he called her, that was the attractive one, and then all of her friends were just a bunch of groupies, and I'm just like, "Oh my god. I hate that." This is assuming, and assuming is wrong, but I would have to assume that this is maybe the way his dad talks, because Shane kind of talks like a total dickhead, and he had to hear it from somewhere, and I'm kind of guessing it's his father, because he probably spends the most time with his father. And then they all end up on the dance floor. Of course, they're partying, they're having a good time. There's nothing wrong with this. It's just, it is so cringe. First of all, the fashion choices, all the girls are wearing like little halter tops and they've got jean skirts on. So we know that this is early 2000s fashion, which is hilarious. Shane is out there bumping and grinding with the so-called it girl of the group. Richie has like 2 girls in his arms and he is just feeling young again. He is feeling freshly 18. Shane starts to make out heavily with the it girl. I guess good for him. He landed the only one he wanted. We're at the end of the episode. Vicky is in her office with Lori and they are getting ready for this insurance conference that they're going to. And Vicky is like, you can tell she is just so determined and loves her job so much. And I love that for her. You can see the passion just like coming from her. She is so excited, but she's having a little trouble with Lori. Lori's really, in Vicky's eyes, not exactly pulling her weight, not making the sales she needs to. Vicky's getting frustrated. She thinks that Lori always has some sort of excuse as to why she really can't get it together. Mind you, I mean, Lori is going through a hard time, and it just is what it is. She's going through a hard time. It's probably the hardest time of her life. She's freshly out of a divorce. Her son's struggling. She's trying to raise, 3 kids, trying to move up, struggling with bills, house, all that. She's a single mother. So I do have sympathy here for Lori. I think Vicky's a little hard on her. And that is it for episode number 2. I'm going to go make a cup of tea because it is 1 a.m. And then we're getting into episode 3. Okay, the start of episode 2, we open with Vicky and Lori at Vicky's house, and they are having a little Botox done. Just a few beauty treatments, a few refreshers before this big conference. Lori is obviously not new to this realm, but Vicky is. Vicky really doesn't do the Botox and all those things. I mean, she looks amazing. They're just getting a little primp, a little detail, a few touches before their big conference. We're then at Slade's house with Slade and Joe. Joe's just getting home. She's telling Slade that Kimberly suggested possibly working part-time. Lightly. She doesn't really dwell on it very long. She really almost doesn't want Slade to catch on that she's considering going back to work because the poor thing is bored silly, stuck in the house all day. They're drinking these ginormous glasses of wine, by the way. If I can get a picture, I will, because I've never seen wine glasses so big. But she's telling him she had a good time playing tennis, even though she really didn't, but she had a fun time hanging out with Kimberly. Slade then, of course, because this is his only motive, is like getting into this society. He's like, tennis is so big out here with people. You really have to get into tennis. He was like, you love to go shopping. I'll buy you every tennis skirt in the world. Like, I want you playing tennis. And it's just like, what the F, bro? Like, that is wild. Then Slade says he just wants her to be happy, which I don't believe is true. He just wants her to be his little tool to get ahead in life. And she goes, I am happy. I mean, I'm bored, but I'm happy. So we're just kind of laying the groundwork for what's to come with Joe and Slade. And there is a fucking little fly in here. You leave your window open for 30 minutes and one little fly makes it in every single time, and it's gonna drive me crazy for the rest of the episode. I hope it doesn't bother you. I gotta get that fucker though. Then we're at Kimberly and Scott's house. Kimberly is running around making breakfast for her son Travis. She mentions that they try to keep sugar out of the house as much as possible. You can tell she's very health oriented. I mean, she looks unbelievable. Her body is insane. And as she is going around saying, do you want eggs, fruit? What do you want? Her husband, this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Their little boy, Travis, he's 6 years old. He clearly wants something yummy for breakfast, not just fruit or eggs. And so her husband pulls out this drawer in this little china cabinet. One of those random little furniture pieces people have sitting against a random wall, and it has 2 drawers, like a buffet, some people call it, just this little thing. He pulls out this drawer and there's a plate in the drawer with 4 donuts sitting on the plate. It's not like he pulled out the drawer and there was a box of Krispy Kremes. Like that I could understand. You ran out real quick, you grabbed it, and you shoved it in there before your wife saw. totally understandable. The fact that they're plated, the donuts are on a plate, and it's just this, he just pulls out this drawer and there's a plate of donuts on it, an unbelievable sight. I don't know why, I cannot get it out of my brain. It was really, really weird. But Travis's little face just lights up. He's just beaming, knowing he's about to get a donut. Kimberly is also getting ready for a little girls trip she is taking with some of the other wives of Kodo. We're back at Gina's and Shane is out in the yard hitting some balls, swinging a miss, he's swinging something. He's swinging a bat, hitting the balls, playing baseball. Gina then says that though Shane was drafted by the Oakland A's, he has decided not to sign with them. He's going to go to a local college, get a little more playtime in, and try to impress the scouts next season. I guess he wasn't happy with the whole Oakland A's situation. It sounds like he was one of 100 who were signed or who were offered Oakland A's, so maybe that means less playing time for you or less of a chance that you'll even get to play even if you are signed. So understandable. If you think you got it, you think you got it, and you want to hold out for more. Maybe if he gets more playtime in, he will do better. We're back with Slade at the equestrian center. He brought his 2 kids with him, and this is where he is going to ambush Brent from episode 1, the big mortgage guy. He, I guess, knows that he's going to be there. I mean, obviously, this is definitely a contrived storyline. This has to be set up. It just has to be, or else this would be really terrifying. But he's going to try and schmooze the guy, bring the boys, and try to appeal to him that way so he can land this big account. So Slade walks up to this Brent guy and is like, hey, remember me? Small world. And the guy's there with his family, his wife and kids, and Slade brought carrots for the boys to feed to the girls as horses. It's crazy. It's a little strange, but okay, I'll go with it. Slade says, hey, I wish my fiance was here. She's really, really into horses. She really wants to learn how to ride, which I don't think Joe has ever said once. But of course, this man's wife, being the friendly woman that she is, says, hey, she should come riding with me sometime. Of course, Slade is like, yes. Here it is. I have an entry. Okay, I have a path to get in to business with this guy. The wife also invites them over for drinks. She says they can ride their horses around the reservoir, I guess at her house. And Slade says something like, yes, my plan worked. Now the pressure is all on Joe. Like, what the hell? This feels like a scheme almost. Like, this is insane. So now Slade and Joe are driving up to Brent and his wife's crazy mansion. I mean, it is big. It's expensive. Joe says she feels really inadequate all of a sudden. I would hate to be in this type of life. This seems so stressful. They're getting a little tour of the house now by Brent and his wife. They take them out to the pool. He says the pool's tile design, it's all from Italy, and it's being designed by the same guy who did Versace's pool. So, like, hello money, right? Like, geez Louise. I do have to say, though, for as much money as these people have, the wife is just darling. She is being so sweet and so welcoming, and I love that. And it's so funny just noticing certain little relics, I would say, from the early 2000s. She has a flip cell phone, and it is just blinged out. It is bedazzled. I remember buying those, like, really cheap bedazzled stickers. They'd have them like pre-made for every phone. I mean, there weren't that many phone options, but for certain phone options, and you would just peel it off and stick it on your phone, and it would like get gunky and disgusting. But hers is probably a nice custom job. I'm sure it's all Swarovski or something like that. But she's actually being really friendly to Joe, and I love that. Brent is mixing up some drinks for everybody. And this is, I think this was the wrong moment, but this is when Slade decides to go in for the kill. He does a cheers, and he says, cheers to us making some money. I really hope to do that soon. And I was hoping to do it at the meeting we had. And I'm just like, whoa, like chill. This is not the time. Okay, this is how it should go. You guys all have your drinks. You have a good time. You're all just relaxing. Be casual. Don't bring it up yet. He knows why you're here. Don't bring it up yet. Be chill. Have your drinks. The ladies will go out to ride their horses around the reservoir or around Versace's freaking pool. And then the gentlemen will go into a parlor, have some scotch and some cigars, and that is when you go in for the kill. I think he did it a little too soon. Do you love this story I just painted in my head, by the way? I like read way too many books. Like, I really, really do. I've seen too many movies and I've read too many books. That's the way these things go. Slade should not have done it at cocktail hour. That is for later in the parlor with the cigars and the scotch. And then Brent goes, maybe someday you'll get there. You got to work on it. But today is just for drinks. Oh my gosh, Slade's face. He turned about 100 shades of red. It is so embarrassing. I am so embarrassed for him. He got shot down so early on in the evening. You know what I mean? Like, oh my god, painful. Went in too soon. And then Slade is so rude and embarrassing. Everything he does makes me cringe so hard. He's trying to transition out of that awkward moment and he's really stumbling over his words and he's like, so anyway, Joe, I was telling them that Joe wants to ride horses. And Joe's like, oh yeah, I totally want to ride horses. I think I did it once. And she's talking about how she didn't know that they have an equestrian center in their development, but she kind of mispronounces equestrian center. And Slade is super quick to correct her. And then he is so effing rude. He goes, we call this Joeisms. He's basically insinuating that she's like a ditz and she has these little ditzy things that she does. The whole time he's like stroking her ponytail while he's talking down to her in front of these people. It is the most awkward thing I've ever seen. He says these things are obvious to the common folk. Oh my god, could you be any more cringe? And then, oh my gosh, I don't even want to repeat this, you guys. He says something so, first of all, so horribly racist. And second of all, it doesn't make any fucking sense. This guy is just scummy. He says Joe is from Peru, and he says because she's from Peru, a lot of things escape her. Like, what? What the hell are you talking about? This part, it makes me so angry. I can't believe, this is the hard thing about Housewives, and we have a lot of these moments. There are layers and layers and layers of horrible, racist, and demeaning and awful things in the Housewives. It is a bumpy, bumpy road. This is the first one we've encountered yet, and it is terrible. What I think is possibly what he could mean, he's just horrible, is that maybe English is not her first language, and so she pronounces things wrong occasionally. By the way, you guys, the whole time he's petting her as she's saying these things, and he's like tucking her hair behind her ear, and it is the most disgusting, demeaning, horrible thing ever. Ever. You guys, it is so, so cringe. I'm telling you, if you watch this episode at home, by the way, it is available on Peacock. It has left Hulu. It is now on Peacock. I could not be any more annoyed, and I swear they did it because they saw Cheeky Couch started, and they immediately moved platforms. So a lot of them are still on Hulu, but the first few seasons of Real Housewives of Orange County in particular are now on Peacock. I'm just warning you, if you watch this, brace yourself. You're going to want to throw up or punch Slade in the face, whichever. Now we're with Lori and Vicky. They're actually at their own homes, but it's bouncing back and forth between the both of them, and they are instructing their daughters how to behave while they're away at this conference that they're going to. Lori is telling her daughter Ashley absolutely no parties, no one is allowed to sleep over. Same thing to Brianna. I kind of believe that Brianna's going to be a little bit better behaved than Ashley, but we will see. Now we're finally in New Orleans for the conference. Vicky's sister, who looks like Vicky's twin, it's kind of crazy, they look so similar, is there as well. She also sells insurance, so all the girls are here together. Unfortunately, Lori's luggage did not make it to New Orleans. Vicky says it's because Lori did not plan enough time. She was, rushing and clearly trying to paint the picture that Vicky's really responsible, whereas Lori's still trying to kind of find her way, I guess. We see Vicky and her sister checking into their fancy hotel, the Windsor Court, and it's really expensive apparently because Vicky then tells us that Lori unfortunately could not afford to stay at that hotel and that she's staying at a less expensive hotel, which who the F cares? How long do you even stay in the room? Do you need all that extra stuff? Probably not. Who cares? She's a single mother. Let her save her pennies where she has to, Now we're with Joe. Joe is pulling up to the equestrian center. She is meeting Cindy, Brent's wife. They're going to do the horse thing. Joe's walking up saying she knows absolutely nothing about horses. She's strictly here to make friends with Cindy. And she's doing the funniest thing ever. This is like me back in high school. She applies her lip gloss. She's just slowly sliding it into her cleavage as a little safe spot because you got to remember, this is the year. This was the age of low-rise jeans, like super low-rise jeans. So she has nowhere to put the gloss, sliding it in the boobs. We've all been there. And Cindy's horses are completely glammed out. They have glitter on their hoofs. They're like all in pink. This is a blingy girl, and I'm here for it. Jo seemingly has a good time. She enjoys Cindy's company. She thinks they're going to be good friends, but horse riding really isn't Jo's thing. Now we're with Gina and her family. That is Shane and his father, Matt. And they are touring Arizona State University and just getting a feel for the campus. As they're touring the school, Gina has the talking head where she says she really doesn't give a crap about the education. She says it could be one teacher and one desk. She doesn't care. Shane is there to play baseball. So, might be good for Shane to, he's paying to go to college. A little care about the education, if he needs a backup plan, if it doesn't work out, his baseball thing. Just my opinion. Now we're with Kimberly. Kimberly, I believe, is at her dermatologist's office, and she's talking about how she has struggled with skin cancer. 9 years previously, she had a third malignant melanoma. Am I saying that correctly? She was told she had 2 to 3 years to live. We have to wear our sunscreens. This is the scariest thing in the world, and I'm due for a mole check. I am terrified. I'll be honest, I've been putting it off, and it's no joke. And I have to tell you, seeing this episode really kicked me in the butt. I'm asking all of you, whether you're watching or listening, let's go get our moles checked. It is just hearing that. Oh, I just get the chills. It terrifies me. I'm so glad she's here and I'm so glad she's okay, but it's something she'll have to worry about forever. These little moles creep up and they can just literally take our lives from us. It's so scary. Luckily, her doctors were wrong. She's still here today, thank God. And she says actually that fear that she was going to lose her life has really changed the way that she lives. She just lives by the moment. She has no fears. Gosh, you've already been through almost thinking you were going to have to leave your kids motherless. Like, can you imagine? And some of you might know this experience. This is horrifying, and I'm so glad she's okay. Now she's out to dinner with her girlfriends. Again, they're on this little girls' weekend getaway, and this was like the second most cringe thing in this episode. They're out for hibachi dinner. They've probably consumed a few cocktails. And the girls have gone wild. They're doing a food chain. It is disgusting to me. I don't understand doing this. I really, really don't. So they're doing a food chain. So all the girls are sitting around the little hibachi table. And one of them goes, food chain. Next thing you know, there's like a piece of shrimp or something in the woman's mouth. There's like 4 or 5 women here. And they pass the piece of food. I'm not kidding you guys. It's as disgusting as it sounds. They put it in their mouth and they pass it to one person and that person bites it and passes it to the next one. Oh my freaking gosh. I don't know if it's because of the pandemic or no, this is just a disgusting thing to do, but I hate this. I hate this very much. It is icky. I don't care how much I love my friends. I love them dearly. I will never eat a piece of food that was in their mouth. And then, oh my gosh, these women are, I can't take it. Am I just a prude? You can tell me. It's okay. You won't hurt my feelings. But they then ask the hibachi chef to fling a piece of fish, or it's like a fishtail or something, into Kimberly's cleavage. So she's like leaning over the grill, chest out, baring her chest. He actually does it. He actually tries to fling it into her breasts. This is the most what is a word for this? This is absurd. This is an absurd dinner. There are families there. Like, this isn't a nightclub hibachi. It's just like dinner hour. The sun is still out. This is wild. The girls have gone wild. Then they all go out to a nightclub. It is a lot. And I have to say, everybody's marriage is different. What's appropriate in your marriage is different, to the next couple. I can't imagine Alok would love if I did this out at the club. I mean, they are just dancing and stuff, but the dancing is very intense. She is dancing with other men, and she says, we're all monogamous. We just like to have fun. Mind you, everyone here is married. And they are grinding, bumping and grinding with these men. I don't think my husband would love it. I personally don't long for it. I wouldn't feel right doing it either. But if this works for Lori and her marriage, bless them. Wonderful. I'm glad she has that freedom that she seems to need. And it's relatively harmless. I guess with the wrong people, it's not harmless. You know what I mean? So maybe this is okay in their marriage. He wants her to go out and have a good time. Good for them. But it is a lot. It is some really intense dancing. We're back with Shane and the family. Shane's about to play a little baseball at the school, I believe. Matt's there, and Matt's father is there. So Shane's grandfather, and Matt says that, obviously he was a major leaguer. His father was a major leaguer. Matt's brother, or his father's brother, was a major leaguer. So there is this really intense pressure on Matt to make it as well, because this is the family's legacy and this is what they've been basically raising and breeding him for his entire life. Let us not forget the first episode when Gina says that Matt and his mother said that she had the perfect genetic standards that they would want for Matt's offspring. Still one of the worst things I've ever heard. Hate that comment. That's just so strange to me, but whatever. Now, Matt had a really hard time. He had an injury that took him out for the rest of his life, and who knows how it affected his brain, you know what I mean? But he was playing for the California Angels, and he was hit directly by a line drive in the head, and I believe he was in the dugout at the time. And there's this clip of him being removed on stretchers, and it ended his baseball career. I can't imagine. That has to be so hard, not only emotionally, but any trauma that he possibly had to the brain and how that affects him. And Shane says the same thing about his father. It's that, before his big injury, everyone loved him. You were happy to be around him. He was really happy-go-lucky. And after it, he was just never the same. He was not that same person. As I said, Lori and Vicky are at their conference. We have a little shot of what their kids are doing back home. So Vicky's son, Michael, has unfortunately been kicked out of school. He has to do some type of summer program to try and qualify, get his GPA up so he can get back into school. I'm sure Vicky was pissed. Oh my God, I bet she was so mad. So she calls him and says, make sure you're doing your homework, all that stuff. He's not. He's playing pool. Ashley, Lori's daughter, is of course having friends over. And the saddest thing, her brother calls from juvie and she hears it and then she hangs up. Poor thing, I feel bad for him. Now we're back with Joe and Slade. Joe is headed off to Newport Beach. She's gonna go on her friend's yacht. She's super excited. Slade is at home with the kids. They planned on having a family day. And then he says Joe got a better offer, so she took off to do that. And he seems pretty peeved about it. Aside from the cringe parts of Slade, here he seems to be a good dad. He's having a little cooking day with the boys. Yeah, so at least he seems like an active parent. Now it's about 9:30 p.m. and Joe calls to Slade. She says she has two problems. She says the first problem is that she's sober. Hashtag relatable. The second problem is that she drove all her friends there. Her friends aren't ready to go home yet. They still want to party, and so she can't just leave them there. And Slade says, heck yes, you can. Oh my God. Again, if Joe just wants to stay out, I wish she would just say that. Slade does give her options, which is unfortunate because I know she just wants to stay out. But he says, why don't you just figure out a time of when they'll be done, when they want to leave, and we will drive back down and get them. But he says you can't be out all night. Just let them know we will come back and get them. Just give us a time, which does not make sense. It's easier for her to just stay out with them. Why would he make her come all the way home just for them to drive back and get her friends? That is super weird. So Slade's really annoyed, and it kind of ends there. Now we're back with Lori and Vicky at their conference, and they're sitting in a room with these other insurance salesmen, and they said this is the top 3% in the world. Can you imagine? This is really successful salespeople. Kudos to them. And Lori is clearly a little intimidated and a little uncomfortable. She's not quite there yet, but I do hope that this conference really, and I think Vicky hopes it too, that this conference is really going to get her jazzed about creating this career for herself. This is nothing but potential in front of you. Listen up, pay attention, and she wants the best for you. She wants you to do well. They show a real quick clip of Ashley having an absolute rager while Lori is away. They're pouring out drinks onto the note that Lori left for Ashley, specifically telling her all the rules and to not have a party. Kids will be kids. And then we are with Kimberly. This scene is, oh my God, I guess this is number 3 of major cringe of the show. She's there with her, I'm sorry, but her god-awful friends. I hope that they absolutely regret filming this episode. What they say is so terrible, and now it lives on in history forever and ever and ever. It's awful. They're talking about the night before, all their partying. Kim lost her belly button ring and she loved the belly button ring. Just another racist moment, basically. Leela, Kimberly's friend, she's saying that she was talking to Kimberly last night and Kimberly was saying, I wonder how my husband would feel if he knew I was dancing with a Puerto Rican guy. And Layla goes, why do you say that? And Kimberly says, well, I think my husband would much prefer to hear that I was dancing with a much classier guy. Mind you, the man she was dancing with had a beautiful suit on. He looked normal. He looked like a well-dressed man out on the town for a good night. And here you were dancing with him all night, and then you say something like that. It's disgusting. And like I said, you see a lot of this on The Housewives, especially the earlier seasons, but also in the later seasons, which is absolutely shocking that they still feel so comfortable saying things like this on camera. You can only imagine what they say behind closed doors. And it just gets worse from there. Layla's laughing and saying, you dance with a little person, and that's not the word she used. It starts with a D. She says you danced with a man in a wheelchair. They're saying this like they're lesser people, and it's disgusting, horrible, and I hope that woman is ashamed. In fact, let me see. Has this woman ever apologized for this shit? Because this is really annoying. Let's look this up. I can't find anything of this woman apologizing. And unfortunately, there's been so much racism from the likes of Kelly Dodd that's pretty much all that fills up the Google search. Maybe if I keep searching back pages and pages and pages, I'm about 6 pages deep, but maybe I will find it. But unfortunately, Tamra, Kelly have been so terrible that Google is flooded with their behavior. So just buckle up. There's a lot to get through. It's terrible. Now, Vicky, Lori, and Vicky's sister are sitting by the pool talking about the night before. Clearly, some things happened that the camera didn't capture. Vicky got a standing ovation. Vicky sold almost $500,000 worth of insurance policies this year. $500,000, a standing ovation. It makes me want to cry. I'm just so proud of her. It's just inspiring, and I'm happy for Vicky. Vicky then shares something really personal about why this job in particular is so important to her. Her father was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and they did not have the money to care for him. So her mother spent all of their retirement money on caring for her husband, for Vicky's father. So this is really more than just sales for Vicky. This is a life experience, something that I'm sure obviously affected them greatly. And yes, she's making money, but at the same time, she's been through this and she wants to help people. So it truly comes from within, and it's probably a big factor as to why she is so successful. She can talk from her experience with this. And I have to say, hearing her story makes me want to, I don't know enough about insurance. I really don't. And this just proved it to me. I really need to educate myself more on that. To end the trip, they of course are out partying it up on Bourbon Street. Guys are putting beads on Vicky and she's like, I'm not showing you my boobs. Gosh, she cracks me up. She frustrates me, like I said. But early seasons of Vicky, she is hilarious, and I really do love her. Now, Gina and her family are back home. Shane, Cara, and Gina are all talking about his college choices. He has 2 choices, and I believe one of them offered him a scholarship, which is great, but it's like 7 hours away, and it snows there. So he's just deliberating between the 2 options. And then, you guys, the episode ends with Joe telling Slade she got a job. She is a mortgage consultant. I can't believe how crazy this is. Talking about like, oh my God, she told him that she got a job. Like, this is so ass backwards. I'm sorry. I feel horrible for her that she's like nervous to tell him that she got a job. And that she kind of had to do it without him knowing first so that he didn't put a stop to it. That is terrifying stuff. I don't want to speak on anyone's relationship, but if you notice those patterns in your own, that's a red flag. Something to really think about, okay? Don't let these men trap you in a home. Don't do it. Yeah, Slade is really disappointed and he's like, what's going to happen next week when you decide you would rather just hang out at home? I don't understand his obsession with her being home. Why don't you want more income? Why don't you always just want more income? I don't understand this. I don't care how successful you are. More money is never a bad thing. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. And then he's saying, we need to come together as a couple and have a plan for the future. Like, you're not letting us have a plan for the future. And it's like, her having a job will help you plan for the future. What do you mean? This opens up your future. You want to move to that super exclusive neighborhood in Coda where that man lives that you keep stalking at the horse track? Like, her having a job can get you there sooner. And don't you want, she wants to work. How can you be upset with her? Oh my gosh, it's just, it drives me wild. It really does. I can't stand it. And then there's just this really sad talk about Joe met Slade right out of college, and she had all these dreams and all these ambitions, but pretty quickly he started showering her with all these nice things, these things she wasn't used to. And before you knew it, she lost herself. She lost her goals, her dreams, her aspirations. She wanted to own her own mortgage company, and it all went out the window when she met Slade. And Slade said it was Joe's idea originally to be a housewife and that she's changing her mind again. And he says, it's just like, it's your plan. It's not our plan. You're like leaving me out of this. The girl just got a dang job. I mean, what the heck? This is not a healthy relationship. What really scares me is that he says this feels like betrayal. All I can think of is he is terrified that she is going to be successful and that she's going to leave him. This man is insecure. Her getting a job is not an act of betrayal. That is a horrifying way of thinking. I mean, I can't with Slade Smiley. I can't. And that is how the episode ends, with Slade Smiley having a hissy fit that his fiance betrayed him by going back to work to bring in more money to contribute to the family that he says she is betraying. What in the fuck? Toxic, toxic. Anyways, you guys, that is it for episode 2 and episode 3 of Real Housewives of Orange County. I hope you're enjoying this double episode thing. And just in case you missed it, yesterday I posted episodes 2 and 3 of Real Housewives of New Jersey. It's on my YouTube channel. You can watch it now. It's also on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify. Links to all those platforms are in the description box below. And if you are listening to this on any of those podcasts, I do have the YouTube episode linked there as well. Or you can just head to my YouTube channel, ThatGirlShaeXo, or type in Cheeky Couch on YouTube and hopefully it should pull up if you want to actually watch me film these episodes. It's really fun because I add visuals and I add photos of everything from the episode that I can possibly find. I have to tell you, these streaming services have gotten super tricky. You can't even screenshot, not record, but even take a screenshot of a show on Hulu or Netflix or Peacock. It immediately blacks it out on your phone. It's actually kind of really scary for me. I don't know why. It really freaks me out though. So it's actually been a little tricky gathering photos for everything for every episode. But what I've been doing is just taking a picture with my phone. It's not the best quality, but it's the best that I can do. Do you know what I mean? But I hope you guys are enjoying this series as much as I am. Also, if you missed it Friday, I had a fun Cheeky Couch episode on. Fridays are really just for topical conversation, things that are happening. And I talked about the fact that I pissed a lot of people off on Twitter again, and that Jeffree Star is ridiculous and should just leave the beauty community if he's going to complain about it so much. That's about it, you guys. Thank you for being here today, and I will see you later this week on YouTube with some normal makeup content, and I will be back next weekend to continue the Rewatch series. I hope you're enjoying this. Let me know what you guys think of these episodes, and I will see you again soon. Bye!